Hello, this is Andy Fletcher, Depeche Mode. Happy 20th anniversary, American Top 40.
1975.
This is a live special report from ABC Radio News. Judge John Sirica has sentenced the 4 men convicted in the Watergate cover-up conspiracy. For details of the sentencing, we switch to ABC correspondent David Garcia at the U.S. Courthouse in Washington.
And in 1975, the charts were filled with big debuts. The Captain and Tennille debuted with what became the year's #1 song, Love Will Keep Us Together. Also debuting that year, Barry Manilow, Casey and the Sunshine Band, Queen, Melissa Manchester, Willie Nelson, Dan Fogelberg, and the man they call the future of rock and roll. Bruce Springsteen appeared on the covers of Time and Newsweek the very same week.
1976.
I think it's going to be an enjoyable next 4 years. I think the sun's rising on a beautiful new spirit in this country, and I love every one of you. And I'd like to
And 1976 saw chart debuts from acts that included Blue Oyster Cult, Billy Ocean, Gary Wright, Eric Carmen Solo, Heart, and Boston. And that was the year the United States celebrated its 200th birthday. But sitting on top of the Billboard chart that 4th of July was an Englishman.
Hi, this is Tommy Page, and I'd like to wish a very happy 20th anniversary to American Top 40.
1977.
In this hour of sorrow of both Tennesseans, the nation, and indeed around the world, the sadness reflects the talent of one of the greatest talents that this country's ever produced.
And in 1977, we heard the first hits ever from Kansas, Andy Gibb, Jennifer Warnes, and Foreigner. And it was the year the Eagles topped the album and pop singles chart with their landmark album, Hotel California. And after almost a decade as a local star in Detroit, Bob Seger finally broke through with his album, Night Moves. And across the country in Boston, bluesy bad boy rockers were leaving their mark, one that would one day even influence future rappers growing up in Hollis, Queens, New York. Here's another AT-40 Then and Now. From 1977, the original by Aerosmith, and from 1986, the remake by Run DMC. A record was set for the decade in 1977. Debbie Boone spent 10 weeks at #1 with You Light Up My Life, and it became the #1 chart single of the 1970s. It was her first and last top 40 hit. Also in 1977, a history-making album came on the chart and stayed there through 1978, spending 31 non-consecutive weeks at #1. It became the biggest-selling album by a group and the first album ever to generate 4 top 10 hits.
Hi, this is Glenn Medeiros. Stay tuned. American Top 40's 20th anniversary special will be right back.
The hits with the Shadoe.
Hello, it's John Waite from Bad English. A happy 20th anniversary to American Top 40.
1978.
We know now that there has been a great calamity in Guyana involving a large number of American citizens. There have been cold-blooded murders and apparently many suicides.
And in 1978, former New York cop Eddie Money made an arresting top 40 debut. So did Bonnie Tyler, Toto, and Rick James. The Cars drove in with their first hit, and we met a colorful bunch called the Village People.
Macho, man, yeah, got to be a macho.
Disco mania swept the nation, and people were infected with Saturday Night Fever. The soundtrack from the movie starring John Travolta became one of the biggest albums ever, spending 24 weeks at the top of the Billboard album chart, and it became the #1 album of 1978. It also became the first album to generate 4 #1 hits, including 3 by the Bee Gees. So we asked the brothers Gibb how they felt about being dubbed the Disco Kings. And here's what they told us.
There was a phenomenon going on at the time. It wasn't just
it was
the
a
Bee
social
Gees.
phenomenon, not the Bee Gees.
McCartney was recording disco records. The Rolling Stones were. Yeah. Rod Stewart was. We were. And the fact was, we just happened to have recorded maybe 2 extra. And none of the songs that we recorded mentioned the word disco in them at all.
No, so, we were attached to a disco film.
A disco film, which spurned off a social phenomenon. Everybody was in on the act. But the fact, we're only talking 1980, 1979. And, 8 to 9, 10 years ago. And the fact was, it's like the difference was
they were just doing what was right for the time.
Yeah. And that's what it was at the time, to be in. And that's all they were doing.
And to be in was to wear jewellery around your neck, was to wear all those things.
And in 10 years' time, what being hip is not what you're wearing now. And what we're wearing now may look a little bit strange in 10 years' time.
That's true.
But that doesn't mean that we'll be wearing it in 10 years' time. Case closed.
The Bee Gees' younger brother, Andy, also hit big in 1978. He had the #1 song of that year with Shadow Dancing. And he had 2 more #1s before that, becoming the first act to hit #1 with his first 3 single releases in the USA. And finally, in 1978, the Piano Man from New York scored his first top 10 hit with this #3 song.
Hello, this is Andy Fletcher, Depeche Mode. Happy 20th anniversary, American Top 40.
Hi, this is Alana Miles. Happy 20th anniversary, American Top 40.
1979.
Inside the U.S. Embassy compound, looking out now at a floodlit scene as night falls here in Tehran of a huge anti-American demonstration just outside the gate.
Some say love, it is a river.
Baby, if you've ever wondered whatever became of me.
I am here to announce my intention to seek the Republican nomination for President of the United States.
And we had new music in 1979 from all kinds of acts, including chart debuts from Dire Straits, Joe Jackson, John Cougar, who'd later add his real last name, Mellencamp, Prince, and out of nowhere, topping the chart was a band from L.A. called The Knack. And the charts were ruled by a disco queen. She left her home in Boston to sing in Europe, where she hooked up in Germany with producer Giorgio Moroder and his partner Pete Bellotte. And in 1979, her album Bad Girls hit #1. 1979 also saw a famous rock group return to the pop peak. They hit #1 in 1975 with Black Water, a song that featured singer and guitarist Tom Johnston, who also sang the band's big hits like Listen to the Music and China Grove. And in 1976, they took on a new lead singer-keyboardist named Michael McDonald. Michael helped the band find a new rhythm and blues groove. And in 1979, the Doobie Brothers hit #1 with their biggest song ever, What a Fool Believes. Shadoe Stevens on AT40's 20th anniversary special. One of the biggest bands of the 70s released their last studio album in 1979, and this was the first single, a #1 song. Here are the Eagles. From 1979, the Eagles and the #1 Heartache Tonight from their #1 album, The Long Run. The title track was also a top 10 hit. Up next on AT40's 20th anniversary special, a new decade dawns. And the new wave continues to crash on musical shores.
Hi, it's Wendy.
And Carney.
And China.
From Wilson Phillips. Happy 20th anniversary, American Top 40.